Hello, Sylvia.
Oh, hello, hello, hello.
Hi, everybody. It's another edition of Self Publishing Insiders. Today, I'm thrilled to welcome to the stage, to the show with us, Sylvia Hubbard. It's so good to see you.
Good to be here. This is really a big honor. I've been a fan ever since, Smashwords and Drafted Digital came up to the scene. I've been a big fan. Oh my gosh, you just don't know how glorious I was screaming when I got the email that I was going to be
Aw.
on the show. So I was like, oh, wow.
Well, that's very sweet of you and also incredibly humble. So let me read your background so people get an idea of who you are.
Okay.
So, award-winning Detroit author and founder of Motown Writers, Sylvia Hubbard has independently published over 65 romance suspense books over 25 years. As an avid blogger, podcaster, mompreneur expert, social media manager, and digital strategist, Sylvia has received literary recognition for her work, plus has had 8 number 1 bestsellers.
Thank you.
And I want to mention too, you're like, I mean, come on, you're a pioneer in the self-publishing world. You were one of the first, like are a trailblazer. And
Yeah.
frankly, Smashwords Drafted Digital wouldn't be where we are without
Um,
people like you. It is so true. So thank
that
you.
that is it's nice to hear, see, I'm going into that cry thing. It's nice to hear that
That's my goal. My goal is just to make you cry.
because back in, I'd say 2000, 2001, 2002, when
Mhm.
ebooks really became just coming onto the scene.
Yep.
And I was going through remember the Yahoo groups, and I was going through them trying to promote my little ebook. And then people were saying, well, you can't be doing that. And one New York Times bestselling author, and she's still around, she said, Sylvia, back then she said, this came out of her mouth, no one will ever be reading books on a computer or a phone or however you are promoting it. So you need to just stop.
Yep.
And and then, like, it was like 6 years later, I got a call from her, and she was like, well, can you tell me about that little ebook
Oh yeah.
thing? And I was like, you know what? If my mama haven't raised me Christian, I would have gave her some few choice words. But I went and schooled her about it, and it's just to hear you say that and to know how far I came, that I didn't give up, that I didn't take that advice and
Yeah.
not give up and just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. That just see you're topping yourself. You're just you're getting there.
Yeah. I mean, the early days of Smash were just to give people some idea of the uphill battle. I mean, in the early days of Smashwords, even before I joined the company in 2011, people were
Yeah.
telling Mark Hooker, our founder, like, what are you thinking? Like, no one's reading ebooks. They represented, I think, when he founded the company, like 1/4 of 1% of
Yeah.
books that were being read. The reading devices hadn't really hit the market, or I guess the viable ones were just starting to hit the market.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and then, it was the option of last resort at that time. If you wanted any chance of getting your books in a reader's hands, you wanted that traditional deal. But
Right.
then things
It just
started to
yeah,
change.
it started.
People like you, like the whole market kind of flipped on its head. And then
We
you
just
guys
kept
realized, well,
talking
hey,
about it. We kept believing in the craziness. Like, this is gonna work. You just don't understand. They don't see the vision. And like,
right.
once it just took off. And I remember, I think it was 2020, I think it was 2006, when Oprah made Kindle her favorite things. And I remember, because that was, oh my God, I remember coming home, and I was like refreshing my smash words, literally refreshing my smash words. So before I went to church, I had sold, like, on Christmas Day, I'd sold maybe about $30 worth of books. And that was pretty odd for me, because I was like, okay, it's early in the morning. I'm just gonna go to church, whatever. And I came back, and it was like it was clearly over almost 1,000 books sold. And
What? So you're like, oh, clearly Smashwords is like something's going on. There's a glitch.
right. And it wasn't just because of the favorite things. It was because, I had been talking about it, say, hey, Christmas is coming, this will make a great gift, blah 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 blah. So it was with my marketing smash words being there, and just the ebook revolution of the Kindle taking off. It was boom. It was so amazing. So yeah, that was one of the best. I was like, I don't care what the kids got, I got the best Christmas ever. And then I really saw the potential and how it changed. And then when it just boomed into stores and to libraries, and then when we learned how to take it offline,
Yep.
it just went crazy. So
Yeah, it exploded.
thank you for helping me pay for a house. Thank you for paying for my kids' stuff. Thank
Aw.
you.
Well, thank you for trusting us with your work. I mean, that goes a long way. It really does. We couldn't,
Yeah.
again, we wouldn't be here without you and authors like you. And
Thank
since
you.
then, since the early days, you've been mentoring authors.
Yes.
And that's why we're here today. I mean, I think one of the things that a lot of authors don't talk about or even think about sometimes is libraries. So today we're here to talk about missed opportunities for authors
Yes.
for book selling, engagement, and community building in their local public libraries.
Right.
So why are we talking about libraries in the first place? Why do you see them as such a unique opportunity for indie authors in particular?
I've always said community before book selling is going to make you sell the most books. That's always been my motto and kind of
Great motto.
platform for Motown Writers Network, and that's the reason the name is Motown, is because it presents a essence that you cannot get anywhere else, and it deals with community. It deals with networking and knowing that your network is your net worth. Libraries bring a lot to the table. It is, as a indie author, it is hard to get to your reach. You can know your perfect reader, you can know what they do,
Mm-hmm.
but the library, 60% of people have library cards. They are tuned in to what readers are reading, and they can be the voice that you need in order to reach that reader. um I have promoted, and libraries have saved me too with because it's so much left on the table when it comes to libraries. It's a missed opportunity. And when you're throwing your money at ads, and you're throwing your money at vendoring events, and you're throwing your money at just everything else, you're missing one of the most free
Mm-hmm.
opportunities out there that can really take your book to not known to be known. And I think a lot of authors, especially indie authors, need to jump on these opportunities, because it's a lot that they're missing, and we
Yeah.
can go through it.
Yeah, let's go through it. I love your quote here. I'm going to steal it and say that I made it up. But when you
TM.
your Jim Azevedo, your network is your net worth,
Hmm.
and that combined with build community first. I mean, we're seeing that more and more and more, especially right now. I feel. I mean, you
Yes.
might be thinking, since you're so successful, Sylvia, that like it's obvious. But I think to a lot of authors who are just coming up, they don't
Hmm.
realize that. And I've said this so many times on this show about how the author's individuality and ability to interact with their readers is like the holy grail of this entire industry, and that's why Indies have such an advantage over some other traditional counterparts, because you guys have this ability to really, really
Definitely.
connect outside the book.
Yes. So you can, for number one, for libraries, which a lot of authors, and I'm shocked when I know this, a lot of authors don't think of them when they're coming out with a book to host readings or book
Mm-hmm.
talks, and even host book club meetings. That they have the space. Number one, you pay taxes and it's free. And you have a built-in audience that you can get in touch with and reel in to that. And I can, a lot of people say, well, when I do events at libraries, well, it'll be a one-time deal and maybe one or two people show up. And I can say, okay, nobody knows you. So maybe if you keep doing these events and people know who you are, you get the word out. It's just like a rolling snowball. People are going to come because the library's promoting it. You're promoting it. The community's finding out about it. Then the city's finding out about it. Then the county that's finding out about it. And it becomes like something bigger.
And a lot of libraries are connected. They have their own library networks.
They have their own library network,
countywide,
and librarians talk to other librarians. I cannot tell you how many times I've gotten a phone call from a library on the other side of the state and says, "Hey, I heard about a workshop you did or a book talk you did. I would love for you to come over here and share it with me." And that is when you get into the money part.
Okay, well let's stop right there, because I want to back up, and I want to understand like how you discovered that libraries. It's not just about having your books on the physical or virtual shelves. It's how you can be there physically, and So let's talk about like how did you discover all this in the first place?
I would call it grace and mercy.
All right, that works for me.
I was at an event, and I had joined the Great Lakes Booksellers Association, and it's a 5-state association of indie libraries. And a librarian sat at my table for lunch, and I was like letting her know about Motown Writers Network and blah blah. And she was like, "Oh my God, can you come to our library and talk about community and building community with the literary world?" And I didn't really have a talk for it, and I was like, "Okay, sure, I'll do it." And she told me, "Well, I need a sell sheet if you could, because I would love to pull your books in." And so she just bam, 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 tell me what I needed. I needed a sell sheet for myself, which you can get free templates on Canva any day, any hour.
Okay.
I needed to fill out of course, a financial form, because I didn't know it was payment involved, but I was like, okay, whatever, I'll fill out an I-9. and then she was like, and then if you want to donate a book, it's up to you, but we have a local library, a local author section, which I did not know of at the time. And she was like, "We have a local author section. We'd love to put your book over there. And because we funnel people over to local authors all the time." And I was like, that is just amazing. So I said, okay, fine, I'll do it. And it just exploded from there. Other libraries heard about that, and it was actually 2 other librarians who came to the event, heard me speak, and said, "Oh yeah, we have to have this over in our library." So it became like a rolling thing. And then I was like, well, let me suggest another workshop and another workshop. Let me host this. And I started seeing the free thing about it. And even my mom was telling me, she loves to tell me, she would love to tell me where my taxes go. So of course, moms, but I was a single mom and I couldn't get an extra job. I worked already a 40-hour and I needed an extra job. The book sales were coming in like a drip income, but I needed something that was going to carry me like an extra $200 a month just to carry me over. And I realized if I could do a speaking event without a lot of work, with a built-in audience, knowing I'm going to get paid, then boom, boom, boom. And libraries just started working out for me. Like getting those little checks from the library every month is like, oh, just gas money, premium gas money.
Yeah, that goes a long way. Now, did you already have your books listed in the library or through a distributor before you started speaking?
So I didn't understand the system as of yet, because as an indie author, you kind of like everything's kind of coming at you all at once. So I finally started to understand, she would like librarians would and they will educate you, like literally when I want to understand, like, okay, what's happening with the library now, or what kind of network or what kind of workshops they need, or what's coming down the line. A library, you can walk inside of a library and a librarian will literally just tell you everything, what's happening, what's in the book world, the technical part. But it was a good thing that initially my first books were in Ingram, so they were able to actually personally go into taxpayers' funds for local events and buy my books. And that's how I understood
Okay.
that process. And then when they made the deal with, rest in peace, Baker and Taylor,
Yeah.
it made it even easier for them to then start really ordering my books, because then my distributor, one of my distributors were Baker and Taylor, so they were able to just pull those books on through. So whenever I would have an event, some libraries will order as many of my books as possible. They say, hey, we have the whole Sylvia Hubbard collection, and they're like, oh my God, I love that.
Nice.
That's nice.
Poster up front with your face on it.
Right. That's just like another boon for you, because even if you're doing a free library event for them, like saying you're doing a book talk, knowing that they can pull those books through and have them on the shelves for their audience. And a lot of authors have this misconception that they're not getting paid because of those books. You are getting paid for those books. Even in the ebook world, you're getting paid for those reads. So you should be encouraging, because hopefully people will keep that book and then they have to order another book.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about that a bit more. I want to bring up a quick question from one of our viewers out here.
Okay.
This is from Jason. And hey, Jason, I really appreciate this question. Jason asks or says, my thing is, how do we get places to allow us to do book signings? I have tried and have been turned down. So this goes kind of back to what you were saying, Sylvia. So maybe we can approach this from like, what's the first step an author should take?
So introduce yourself. Introduce yourself to your local library. Get in your car right now, drive over to your closest librarian, and literally just introduce yourself. Let her know you're a new author. Get your sales sheet together, a small package of her, just saying, hey, I am a local author. You're a librarian, and I would love to one day present here or have a book talk. They will open up their calendars and they will say, okay, usually I try to say, let's go for the next season, because everything is kind of booked and busy in that current season. So I'll say, okay, it's fall now. So I'll say, hey, I would love to have a spring book talk here. They have the space. You don't have to pay for the space at the library because you already paid taxes. At the library.
Okay.
Once they see that you can draw even a minimal crowd, they will sit in talks with you about, okay, can you do workshops? You want to try to bring education for the payment. You want to try to get educational workshops in there. But if you just want to get a book signing, it's a library.
Is it common though? Is it common for libraries to pay for workshops? It seems like, okay, this is like library, so they're going to make everything free to their patrons. And
so once you have to offer something to the library, you have to offer an education, an expertise. And we all have, I don't care. I write fiction, romance, dark, suspense. There is an expertise in that. I just can come in and even have like a fiction 101 where I can talk about the hero's journey, how I put my stories together, how I weave romance and suspense together. That is something, an educational piece that writers and readers would love to know and talk to authors about. But if you just want to do a book signing, it's pretty much set in stone. They have the space. They can get the people in there, and you can draw them even more by promoting the event. So you would put together a proposal along with your book sell sheet. You can put together a proposal of, okay, I would love to have a book talk. This is what my book is about. This is what audience would love this book. And these are the marketing tactics I am going to do in order to help promote this event. And I look forward to having you contact me so we can get this scheduled. Bam.
I love it.
That's the proposal. And that's professional enough for them to say, yes, we would love to have this here.
So you recommend actually stopping in physically before like sending an email introduction?
If you are very new to this, I would not suggest just sending out a blind email about it.
Mhm.
You really want to do a face-to-face and network with a librarian, with lots of librarians. Librarians are your cheerleaders. They're the ones at the end where they're kind of like the mascots of books.
Mhm.
Jumping around
Good
and
way of putting it.
getting the crowd really engaged. And these are the people where you need to have them in your back pocket. So when you come out with your next book, they're like, okay, yeah, we know you. Okay, we'll make sure we get the word out about it. Because who goes in and asks a library, well, I'm looking for a great suspense romance. Well, we have a local author here.
Perfect. Now, should you just approach one library at a time, or should you just like one thing I suggest to authors sometimes is like, go on Google Maps and do a search for local libraries in your area within like, I don't know, 10-mile, 20-mile radius, and you'll be surprised how many pop up.
Yes. And
Should you
Detroit.
start with just one, or should you?
No, no,
Okay.
it's like a Pringle chip. You can't have just one. You got to keep it going. So, in Detroit has one of the largest library systems in the United States. A lot of people don't know that. So, I'm usually booked and busy at several libraries all across Detroit and Metro Detroit. So I don't stop at one. Once I initially got into the first library and I knew I was confident enough
Uh-huh.
to do an event there, I started just going to other libraries, and then you go to Library Congress website and you can pick your city down to your state, to your county, to your city, and it will pull up an entire free list of the libraries and the email contacts
Really?
of those libraries
That's
that you
great
can
advice.
send out, and make sure it's just like sending it to an agent. You don't just send a huge big email bulk load in there, and then make it personable, so then they feel like, okay, I woke up and I just thought of you, and they will feel really awesome. A great time to call in or go into a library is pretty much after 11 o'clock on a Wednesday. For some
Why is
reason,
that? That's
because
just what you discovered?
that's one of their longest days, number one. One of their longest days. And usually Wednesday is like a 12 to 8 or 11 to 7 kind of day. So
Oh,
you
okay.
go in soon as kind of like they first open, and you can get in and really talk to the one who runs the events. And you can either ask, if it's a small library, it's usually just one person doing everything. But if it's a bigger, sort of a medium sized library, it's usually they do have an event person who can do that, who can actually sit down with you and say, yeah, let's open up the schedule and get this done.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. I wanted to bring up a quick comment here from our
Mhm.
very own Alyssa, who says it's also valuable to have your name on the calendar for that whole month or even longer.
Yeah.
Anyone who checks the library calendar, that they see your name.
Yeah,
That's a great
and it
comment.
comes up in great search engines because libraries do search when you say, "Hey, I've done this event," or "I would like to do this event," or "I've worked with other libraries." They do search, and it's good to see if you've done it at one library or even been in a library. They know
Hmm.
that you understand the etiquettes of libraries, and just getting the word out about you doing other things. Librarians do look at that and see, and are really favorable towards having you at the library, knowing you've been in libraries before.
Okay. These libraries, they all have newsletters too, don't they? Or most of them
Yes.
do.
Yes. Now, if you are really shy about just getting up and going and talking to a librarian,
Uh-huh.
go to their book fairs. Usually mostly all libraries have book fairs. When you get to the book fair, and and most times 99% of the time they are free. So they'll have an annual local authors book fair. Find out when they have it, sign up for it, get in. And while you're there at the book fair, network with the librarians that are there. That's a great way to network with them and say, hey, you're a children's author. You can come in for story time one day. Bam. That's a book selling opportunity. If you're
But Sylvia, let's say I'm super shy and I'm an introvert and like the thought of networking and like how do I break the ice with this librarian? Like what do I say to her? for him?
Well, it just depends on the platform. Like children's authors, you can go in and do story time. They always have story time every week at all libraries. Teen authors, they always usually have a book club for teens because they want to encourage teens to read. And you can ask to either come in and host, even if they're not talking about your book, you can actually come in and ask to help the librarian host one of their meetings, you know, and then bring some treats, a free excerpt and a QR code. And then go from there. For adult authors and even nonfiction authors, that's just a given. You're going to talk about a great topic because your book is part of a great topic and that you're passionate about. Adult authors or adult fiction authors, you can always come in and start doing the book talk. So you can always just start a conversation about the love of literary. Everybody loves talking about that in the library, and then just easily move into the subject of, well, this is what I can do for you, as if you are the gift.
Okay. I love it. Quick comment here from Beth. Hi, Beth. Beth says some libraries have great programs. I love my public library. My son almost grew up at the library.
Right. But a lot of authors are not using that opportunity of instituting, helping the library come up with the programs. And that's the best part about your service towards the libraries, is that you are going to be giving them not only a great event, but a way for you to get into even more libraries after that. Because like I said, one is not enough. Once you do one, you're going to find yourself, I need to do that again. I need to repeat this process and really get the ball rolling on getting more readers to know about me by utilizing librarians as your friends.
Okay. Before this conversation, I cheated and listened to your podcast interview with Dale Roberts. And and one of the things that you mentioned there, I thought was so smart, because when it comes to asking for money or asking a librarian, like, do you pay for these? You said in your email proposal to the librarians, you might say something like, oh, and just almost in passing, oh, I do accept honorariums.
Yes. And it's kind of like, I realize that word is so powerful because it's kind of like asking for a tithe or a small offering for your gratitude of having me. So, and they usually have their own budgets of what they can afford to give you. And it's really based on your expertise in that field. So you really have to, you can't be just a new author coming out the gate and saying, oh yeah, I want $500 because I know my taxes and I see my tax form. So I know how much you collected
that approach is going to work
in library taxes. And I want 2% of that. You really have to know your expertise, and you really have to know your worth, but also understand that this is a library system. So going in and saying the word honorarium immediately lets them know that you are offering something to them to help them out, and you would like to at least be paid for travel, for time, for just, you know, getting there. And depending upon how close or how far they are, that determines how much the honorarium that I do ask. So yes, definitely it works, but it does work out. Like when I know, as like I said, as a single mom, when I was getting those $100 to $200 checks coming in, you know, and it was like, that was just the best. It was like the difference between making or breaking me that month, just because I did a 45-minute talk and question and answering at a library. So it made it really worth my while of doing that and knowing that I could, you know, get on to the next one.
Yeah, and I think I just want to add that you might be surprised how librarians and libraries, they might say, like we'll pay for your travel and expenses. Like we'll set you up in this hotel if it's that far away, or your, I don't know, I don't want to necessarily say flight, but
sometimes they will. I have gotten that. I actually did out of state a visit to a library, and I was actually taking the place for another girl who actually was coming from out of state. So they had already arranged for her to come in, but then she got sick, and then something happened with her family members.
Is that the Hawaiian one?
Yeah, I did the Hawaiian one. The Hawaiian one was fun.
You're like, oh, let me think about that one for a second. It's like, do I have time to go to Hawaii?
I know.
Yeah.
But it was kind of like, wow, like, okay, I could do this. And they pay. And I didn't expect, like when she said, oh, can you take my place? And I'm like, okay, I don't have that kind of money. And she was like, oh, no, you just got to show up. And I think that's when I realized, there's a thing called a soft girl error. I want to be spoiled like that forever.
A soft girl.
you just show up and be pretty. Like,
oh, okay. I'm like,
oh my God.
Does anybody else know that?
That was like the best. Like, you just showed up, and I had the expertise. All the knowledge was in my brain, and I just, got up in front of the audience and I spoke. And, I had a car driving me around the hotel. And it was just like, it was a whirlwind of everything. And it was like, just because, like, I know my stuff.
You said yes. And you said yes.
You said yes to something. And like you said, yes, you are an introvert. Writers are introverts. I will agree. I am, even though I don't look it, I am an introvert. I would rather be sitting curled up around a pillow with a laptop tucked under me and just going like this 24/7. But as an author, you are still that introvert pretending to be an extrovert. And that is what's going to bring those book sales and those library connections to you, because it's just not about hosting or doing workshops, but it's also partnering, like I said, with local author showcases that we miss out on with libraries, building email lists that, we would never build, literally just getting people to come to our table or having the event and then funneling that towards getting their emails and getting them on your email list. That is important. That is really important. And we're missing out on all of that because we refuse to acknowledge that libraries are a powerhouse in our stable that we should be utilizing and taking advantage of. So
yeah, they serve as huge discovery engines. And that's not just about having your books on those shelves. It's about just being physically present in your community.
And it's not just paperback, because people are so hung up on, okay, well, it's just a building with a bunch of paperback books. No, they are doing audiobooks now. They are doing ebooks now. So I
think I've got 4 different library apps on my phone. Like if one library doesn't have it, then I just check the next app.
Right. And I've realized, like, as the economy, as people are seeing where, okay, I can't afford the subscription, or I can't afford, paying for this anymore, seeing that the library is a free resource for them increases your power as an author to be able to get into more devices. If over 60% of Americans have library cards, that's a monumental amount that you just need 1% of that 60% to download your book or to go check out your book.
You just made me think of something. In the early days of ebook publishing and distribution, we used to say that, everyone's carrying around a bookstore in their pocket, but everyone's also carrying around, or could be carrying around, a library in their pocket as well, with these devices that we have attached to our hips everywhere.
Right.
Every day.
It is. And the importance of now, when everyone needs to be putting their nose in a book so bad.
Yes, please. Yeah. We just had a talk on banned books week last week, and thank you to Lee Wind from the IBPA who joined us last week. Yes.
It's a way for you to encourage not only community literacy, which we as authors, especially indie authors, should always be promoting, is literacy in our platforms. But it's also a way to strengthen yourself as an author and build your platform to show that you have a community cause. And that's one of the number one causes that you should be promoting. It's not about, your paranormal crisis or trauma romance or suspense gripping. It really is about the literacy component in all aspects, and how people need to start not only picking up books, but going into buildings that promote books and help the community out. So I love libraries so much.
Yeah. I feel like there's a through line through this entire conversation is value. Like, how can you provide value, or how can you provide service
Yes,
to your
because you
community?
can, and especially indie authors, because we work so hard to get people to get eyes on our work. We're doing the same thing that library. Your mission is almost the same as the libraries. They're working really hard to get people to start reading. So why can't you partner with them and find this out and be able to do more things with them? Because not only do they have author showcases, but they have author panels. And if they don't have it, you can provide it.
Right.
August, romance month. You are a romance author. Get a couple of romance authors locally together, go into a library and say, we can provide a panel in August. So for your romance month, we can do that. During Black History Month, I have this great talk that I actually offer for free that talks about the impact, the diversity of romance books in America, and how African Americans made an impact in the romance market to take it to the billion to $1 trillion market today. And I only do that during February. I also do it on Juneteenth, to show how diversity has made a difference in the romance month. And it's a great thing, because I can bring this to libraries and then turn around and say, and I do have a paid workshop as well.
Always
and
thinking.
I can do a book talk as well to help them do more events. They are always looking for events. And sometimes you don't know that you might have that book that they need to be promoting in their community, in that library at that time. So,
and they're looking, right? They're looking for fresh ideas to bring to their patrons.
Always looking for. Closed mouths don't get fed. That's what my mother said. So you do have to open up your mouth.
All right, I'm gonna steal that one too.
TM.
TM. Hey, I want to underscore something you said earlier about introverts and putting yourself out there. Because like in the early days of Smashwords, when I first joined, it was just Mark Coker and Bill, our CTO, and Mark was stretched really thin, and he asked, "Hey, can you help me out with some of these speaking gigs I've got for these writers clubs and libraries and other things?" And I swear to you, Sylvia, like every cell in my body was like, "Say no, say no!" Like, but I said yes, and then what happens after that? Like I started getting invited to other places, and then some of those places were out of state, and they're like, "Yeah, we'll pay your travel and expenses." And a couple of those places were out of the country, so it can be nerve-wracking. There's butterflies and all that, but you might really surprise yourself about what you're capable of and what could happen, the doors that will open for you. So I would just suggest everybody to challenge yourself, get uncomfortable, or get comfortable feeling uncomfortable, and eventually you may not completely get over it and feel 100% confident, because I still never have, but I've gotten to the point where I'm like, okay, I've felt that before and I survived, and it'll be good.
And more and more librarians are actually having a lot of local author events. So get on their calendar and start really searching out for them. I literally have a Google alert for Michigan local author library events, and I'm getting alerts almost like every week of something coming up or going on. I make it available to my Motown writers group, and I'm usually posting those local author events because I want more and more of my authors. I can't be everywhere, and I know that. So I post them a lot of times to my Motown writers group, so my authors there can get into that. And it's so great when, I get to those events and they're like, "Oh, I wouldn't have known it if it was for you." But it's just the fact that, this is a local author event, and a lot of local authors can get together. And And we do get traffic. A lot of people do ask me, like, do those things really, make money for you, or are you just wasting your time? Number one, I have to pay for my table. They provided a table and 2 chairs for free where I could just set up and do whatever I want to. But they actually do hard work. They work hard to bring traffic into those events. And I can say, a lot of times I'm making my gas fee back because I am selling books. And of course, that's another even talk about, what do you do at these local events? And how, because you go into I'm shy, I'm not going to talk to nobody, but that's a whole nother talk. But getting out there and getting in front of the crowd and just making sure that you can get the word out about your book, do it. Please do it. Take advantage of these librarians, because we want them to not only be around, but stay around.
Yeah, and they're interested in local authors, and indie books in particular.
Yes, they are, because they can't find out about you if you don't try to reach out to them. They're a local institution, and I find it very hard to believe if somebody said they walked into a library and they couldn't get in. That behooves me as a librarian would actually say, oh no, we don't want that. Now I can understand the topic of your book, but I can't understand.
Okay.
Maybe you should write a book for the community.
I have to bring up this comment from Tom, Tom's Cabin, Books and Music. He says, it's fall and every author should be at these fall and Christmas festivals.
Thank you. Yes.
Absolutely. Positively.
Yes. My mom used to say books are like jeans. They go with everything. TM.
I have to meet this lady.
TM. I'm going to have to. But it does. And so, that to be at an event, to provide a service, and even if the library is not, say that they're having a fall event and they've invited local crafters and stuff like that, local artists, join in on that event as well. See if you can get a vendor table to that as well. Work with people who are working with the librarian. There are a lot of times other people will come in and say, hey, we have this event, and you can say, hey, I would love to be a part of this event as well. And even if it is a small vendor fee, if it's at the library, I have always had a beneficial experience, whether it's selling books, networking with other people. And I can't even tell you the speaking events I've gotten. I've spoke at colleges and universities from people coming in and seeing me at the table. And then we get to talking and they're like, oh, I'd love for you to come and speak to my class, or I would love for you to come and speak to my organization. The networking is amazing. And a lot of people are losing out on that. And I want to share it. I want to pass the word out to it. Get out there and find out what you can do. And you would be amazed at the opportunities and doors that do open once you start networking with librarians.
The lady writes, agrees with you. She says, reaching out to libraries with options is always good too.
Right. Always. It's like I said, it's a missed opportunity that I see a lot of authors who are struggling to sell books miss out on. And if you don't see opportunities at your local library, then make those opportunities, because they will work with you. They will work with you.
Okay. I want to make sure I ask you this question before we reach time. And then that question is, let's say that, I'm super shy and I don't want to just walk into my local library because I'm afraid of, bugging the librarian because I know she's busy. Can you give me an outline, or can you inform us of how just a typical email proposal might look, or what I need to have in an email proposal if I was going to take that route?
Right. So like I said, you want to have just first introduce yourself, the short bio, kind of like what you kind of read off with mine at the beginning. So a short bio, then what you are proposing. Of course, in the subject line, you put down regarding a proposal, and then put the title of your proposal, and then elongate that after your bio. I would like to propose this, such and such and such. Then put down what are the benefits for the participants and what they will walk away with knowing. from this, even if it's just a book talk about you talking about your book, you still want to put in the benefits of why do people need to come and hear you speak? People find that hard to believe. Then after that, you want to offer what is it? You want to kind of say, this is what your marketing proposal would be. This is what you're going to be doing regarding this event and helping the library out with. And then seeing how they can get in touch with you. And that's pretty much it. If you do it face to face, of course, come with a thing about your book so they can easily find out about it. And in your conclusion, you want to let them know like how they can see even a PDF download about your book with an excerpt of your chapter, if that's what you're doing. Oh, thank you for putting my website in there. That's so sweet. I just saw. But that's what you would do. And you can literally send this out separately. Don't do it as a bulk. Do it separately, and then make sure that they can get it. And then even follow up. If they don't answer, then hey, I sent that out a couple of weeks ago. I would love to get in your spring schedule because you're doing it a season prior. Always do it a season prior.
Okay.
And then go from there. Never do it. I usually give myself a 4-month lead time. So if I want to do spring events, then of course I'm hitting them up at the end of fall, going into winter, so I can get on their spring calendar. That's a really good way to know that you understand librarians and you can work with them. And it gives them enough lead time. They love that 3 to 4 month lead time in order to help promote the event.
Perfect. This has been great. I'm so happy that you joined us today. I mean, it was just like
happy too.
Gem after gem after gem of advice.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here and just share the education and just let authors know you're missing out on a great opportunity, and you shouldn't leave that money on the table, especially in terms of like I'm seeing so many authors just complain about I can't sell books or my book sales have dropped online. Well, then go offline. If you can't do it online, then go offline. There's always a will. If there's a will, there's a way. We know that. And their libraries make that way. It's already built in. It's already self-sustaining, and they love local authors. So always remember that. You're the gift.
Oh, I love that. What a perfect place to end this. We have to end it because we have to do, follow our timeline so everyone can get back to their days and everything. I could talk to you all day. It's so easy. You're so easy to talk to.
Thank you. I try to be. I try to be.
Well, you are. I'm going to go through some housekeeping here. For our viewers out there, if you enjoyed this episode with Sylvia, if you could do us a favor and share this episode and like it, that helps us to spread the word and attract more guests like Sylvia to share their expertise with us. Then you can bookmark d2dlive.com. If you do that, that page will show you who our next guest is going to be and what the following week's topic is going to be. And finally, if you are exploring self-publishing, perhaps for the very first time, you can sign up for our free Draft Digital account simply by going to draft2digital. That's the number 2, draft2digital.com. Well, for those of you who have been joining us week in and week out, we so appreciate you spending time with us. And for those of you who joined us this week for the very first time, I saw some new names out there, Sylvia. And I have a feeling they're Sylvia Hubbard fans, so we appreciate you guys joining too. And then, of course, to you, Sylvia, you're a busy lady. So, of course, we appreciate you just carving out, an hour of your time today. So thank you so very much.
Thank you. Like I said, it's an honor. I'm blessed and highly favored to just be here and in your presence and everything that you've done. And just, oh, my goodness.
My presence. Do you hear that, everybody? Draft Digital people?
He's a keeper. He's a keeper.
Well, this has been a joy. Hang out backstage for a second.
Yes.
I'm going to play our outro music, grab a snack, grab a drink. I'll meet you back there in a moment. To everybody else, thank you so much for joining us again. We'll see you here again next week. Bye, everybody.
Ebooks are great, but there's just something about having your words in print. Something you can hold in your hands, put on a shelf, sign for a reader. That's why we created D2D Print, a print-on-demand service that was built for you. We have free, beautiful templates to give your book a pro look, and we can even convert your ebook cover into a full wraparound cover for print. So many options for you and your books. And you can get started right now at draftedigital.com.